You are listening to Processing Trauma Out Loud, conversations about trauma and healing from two women who are doing the work.
Hey everyone, it's Kandace and Sher with Processing Trauma Out Loud. We had so much fun talking about our topic last week that we wanted to just bring a few stories of how we have seen story work be such a blessing in other people's lives and our clients' lives. And we wanted to continue the conversation this week because we have a few more stories.
Last week was fun, and I enjoyed reflecting on what are some of the situations that people bring as kind of their presenting problem, so to speak, their presenting struggle, that then opens the way for us to go back and look at some of the bedrock stories of harm that were cemented in their memories and embodied in such a way that those stories kind of keep showing up again and again. You had a couple more specific stories that you wanted to really bring light to. And so we're going to just hop in. Yeah, just talk to us a little bit about a couple of another situation that you have experienced with someone where you really saw them move into some very meaningful change.
I have a few things coming to mind, but I'll just share this one for now. If we have enough time, I'll share the other one. But I have noticed that I love the opportunity to work with younger women, 20s, 30s. I mean, at this point, even 40s feels younger. So not only are they younger, but I have some clients who are single. And I almost feel like, oh my gosh, this is amazing that you are looking at this point in your life and what that would have been like for me to really have this space before I was married and had children. And so one of them came to me with, being in this place of being single. But then what happened is, so I asked her, what are some things that you would like to see different? Like, where do you feel like moving forward? Where is your struggle and what are you really wanting to show up differently in? And so what happened was we took like her last couple relationships and kind of walked through them. So we didn't immediately jump in to these story works, to the younger stories, but each of those situations led us to a lot of data of how she had been showing up in these relationships. She's in a new relationship now after being single for a while, after doing story work, after looking at stories. And I am telling you, it is a joy to hear the difference this has made for her in this new relationship. It feels pretty profound to me, actually, that she'll say, you know what, several years ago, this is what would have happened for me. This is what would have come up in me. I would have immediately believed it. I would have went into shame. And now I'm just slowing down when something familiar happens and I'm going, oh, wait a minute. Oh, I'm going to turn to my little girl right now and I'm going to tend to her. Whereas before there was no concept of what's really going on right now is actually connecting to an old story. It's just beautiful.
It's beautiful and it's powerful because we often do not recognize that we are showing up in our relationships as that hurting 7-year-old or 9-year-old or 13-year-old. But often in the midst of our relationships, something gets triggered and boom, there we are. And it doesn't look like I'm showing up 7 years old. So the other person often does not recognize that something major shifted in me. And now you are no longer getting me in my highest adult self. You are getting the little girl. And there is some or even more than one part, right? An exile or maybe even a protector who's coming forward and saying, I'll be damned if you are going to do this to me again. And
Right.
all of a sudden there's fight coming forward in some kind of a way or resistance. And so when we get in touch with those parts of us and why they are showing up, and then we can offer them kindness so that we can stay the course and hold ourselves in those places of showing up in our true self as we comfort the young places within us. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're talking in the context that our clients know that we are trauma-informed story work coaches. So there is this understanding that we have some unhealed trauma, or we at least want to explore if we do. I guess I don't want our listeners to think that every current situation that you have right now that you could be struggling in is always connected to an old story. It's not. Some of it's just raw material for what's happening now. But what we're talking about, what I'm talking about is when there is this repeated pattern and it leaves you a little confused of why do I always end up feeling this way? Or why are my relationships always get to a certain point and then, trouble starts to happen, or I start to feel threatened, unsafe. And so this is the space where doing story work, even though you may not initially see how it's connected to the younger story, will begin to set you free to really show up in the relationship in a way that's more reflective of a healed adult self.
It's so good, Kandace. And you highlighted a few things right there that I want to just shine the light on. Like, it's when in our relationships we see repeated patterns, we see ourselves showing up young, and we have feelings of confusion. When we feel these things in our relationships, those are moments to stop and slow down and say, what's the thing beneath the thing?
Yeah.
Because yes, we have the situation at hand that we're reacting to, but what's the thing going on in us beneath that if I give some attention to, I will show up in a different way. Doesn't mean that I won't confront the situation. I might confront it even stronger or with more power or more emotion. But I won't have to respond and react out of my young parts coming to the forefront and leading the way.
Yeah. Or for some of us with less power and less emotion.
Right.
Seriously, though, I mean, this is why knowing story is important, because my protector part showed up strong, but not in a helpful way. And so the other story, real quickly, that comes to mind is I love, and when I say story, I mean stories. I have loved working with some clients that were having blocks in their business, not having any real clarity that their blocks in their business was connected to those young stories of harm and sometimes abuse. I don't think I've ever done anything more fulfilling in my calling than this playground of helping people make connections and to say, oh, you mean when I get panicky about maybe someone wanting to talk to me about something in this area of my business, and it feels like conflict to me and I want to run, you mean that's not because there's something wrong with me? It's connected to a story. And boy, when we get into those stories and when the care is offered, the kindness and bringing clarity and truth and honor, actually things start shifting in their business.
Yeah, because it allows us and them to then show up in these places of calling and purpose and meaning and dreams and desires, right? We show up more from our full heart and our whole heart rather than, and we were called to that before, even before we got maybe the healing that we're experiencing now. So we sense that calling, we move toward that calling, and that might look like a business or, that's what we're talking about here. We move toward it, but then our story gets in the way. And so when we find healing for our story, we show up in those ways, in those places of our calling and our purpose from places where we are healed. And we offer who we are with more authenticity and more love and more sensitivity than we were able to before. And when that comes through us, our businesses change and our lives change in those areas.
There's a term in the business world. It's called leveling up. I'm sure you know it well. And I was reading that the other day. I read something and it said something, are you ready to level up? And in my mind, I went, well, then we need to help you grow up. Not as a shame statement, like not even as a judgment.
Yeah.
When we go back and tend to those stuck places of those children or that teenager and help them grow and mature, to me, that is the ultimate leveling up.
Yeah. Because it comes from a place of love. It comes from a place of feeling loved and recognizing what do I love and allowing that then to flow through us in new ways. And it's lovely.
Yeah, well, and I'm just noticing that I'm really feeling passionate about this in real time because it's actually what I'm going through right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm in this place of noticing that the healing has caused the growth, and the growth is causing a change in the way I'm showing up in my calling.
Yeah.
I would get to a certain point and then fear would take over.
Mm,
And now I can just say, I noticed I just did it with you the other day. I said, I've got a little inkling of some fear here. We haven't even processed that yet, by the way. And I thought, okay, but it's not stopping me. It's not shutting me down. I just need to process this for a minute.
right. Yeah. And recognize it, right? Because sometimes fear is anxiety. Sometimes it's just arousal. And if we can look at it from that perspective, bring some gentleness there, then we can keep moving instead of allowing it or instead of it becoming a roadblock that then derails us.
There are so many other situations and stories, and we wanted to just bring a few, these last two episodes, that when we talk about people having pain and challenges and they don't see a way out. So story work isn't about that we never have pain or challenges. It's about bringing compassionate understanding in the presence of love that helps us to hold what's true and what's possible in a new way, where it once felt diminishing, impossible, trapped, constricted, despairing, we now have hope. Yeah, good conversations these last few weeks. And yeah, look forward to what we're going to be moving into next. And we're going to be talking in the upcoming episodes about some different themes that come out of story work.
Yeah. Good to be with you, Kandace.
Yeah, and I just locked us in there. Did you notice that?
Yeah, but I'm glad because I can't wait. I'm very eager to go toward this next topic. Yeah, so we'll
Come back.
come back. Good.
Okay, good to be with you. Love you, friend.
Love you too, Kandace.
Thank you for listening to Processing Trauma Out Loud. Make sure to check out the show notes for links to suggested resources and social media. Like, subscribe, and follow to keep up with our weekly content. And if you don't mind, take a moment to rate and review us. Your feedback is extremely valuable and contributes to the success of this podcast. One last thing. If you have found this podcast helpful in any way, or if you have questions on how to take the next steps on your healing journey, please reach out to us via email at KandaceSher@gmail.com. That's KandaceSher@gmail.com. Our sound engineer is Jeremiah Jones of Auditory LLC. We welcome you to join us for more conversations soon. Take care.